Okay. Sure that's appropriate.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Major Tim Phelps is here this morning, and saw him at the polling place on Tuesday morning. And would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning, Major?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the November 6, 2014 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Kevin Cook, who serves as vice chair and represents District 2, and Commissioner-elect Shelley Bueller, who currently represents District 1 and evidently will for a number of years in the future. The first item, please.
Proclamations, presentations. Number 1, presentation regarding the Safety Net Summit Report.
Good morning, Commissioners. Alice Weingartner, Health Agency. I have a 7-slide presentation that I will give to provide an update to what's been taking place with regards to Shawnee County's participation with the Safety Net Summit. I will be able to review a timeline of activities that have taken place so far, provide an update on the current consultant activities, give a recommendation that came out of our initial meeting with the second set of consultants of how we can meet the need, and then review the broad objectives that were identified during those meetings. So with regards to the timeline, and I'll just do a walkthrough of it, January 2013 was the first time that the Safety Net partners convened, and those were Safety Net partners from a variety of groups, both primary care, the hospitals, the mental health settings, all of us coming together and talking about what can we do to better improve access to care. So then in May, an initial consultant was identified, and that consultant came into the community to do some work with us. June was when funding was identified for the cost of the consultant. Sunflower Foundation was a significant funder to that cost. And then they also asked us to do a challenge grant. And so other partners who contributed to that cost were, of course, the Community Health Center, Marion Clinic, the hospitals, Health Access, and both Vallejo and Family Service and Guidance. In August, the agreement was signed by all of those entities participating in this work, and that is when the commission acknowledged the participation of the Community Health Center in agreement to provide the $1,000 financial support. In September is when the consultant visit took place, and then in November, another aspect of that visit was providing data from all of our entities, which was part of that final report that was released in January of 2014. As a result of that report in January, it was recommended that the Community Health Center not be part of the county governmental system and either become its own 501c3 or collaborate with an existing FQHC. And with the intent that the collaboration would help reduce the cost of care, utilize workflows and efficiencies identified through participations with other partners. And the county took that as a recommendation and wants to move forward with them so that we can do a better job of meeting the healthcare needs and being more efficient and cost effective in providing services. In February and May of 2014, we did get that report. During that time, we also identified a second consultant who would come in and help us kind of operationalize that plan, develop a work plan. In May of 2014 is when staff, the Community Health Center, and the Community Health Center Board were notified via the County Commission memo of the intent to change the operational model of the FQHC. In June through August, we worked on getting that collaborative agreement together for the new consultant, and those partners kind of narrowed down a little bit at that time. It really became the focus of our primary care services, and so that agreement was signed with Marion Clinic, the Shawnee County, and the hospitals as well as partners interested in working for it, as well as Health Access too. In June, we were awarded funds again from the Sunflower Foundation to support the consultant work, and there was also a challenge grant aspect to that, and so each of those entities who are signing that agreement also provided funds towards the cost of the consultant work. Just last month, we had the consultants come in for a 2-day visit, and the consultants spent some time, and that's what we'll talk about in the next slides. One of the points I think that's important to remember is that there are a lot of entities involved in these discussions, and because there's so many entities and because it's such a significant change, there's lots of details that we're working through. And as we work through those details and as things get firmed up, we will continue to share that information, and really with the goal of trying to minimize any disruptions to the work that all of our organizations do. So that is where we are with phase 2. Make sure I'm going the right way. One of the points that was made in the safety net report was the high cost of care from the Shawnee County Health Agency Community Health Center, and this is an excerpt from that report that reflects a cost of care of $800, which they stated was 2.5 times greater than other FQs in Kansas, as well as above the national Kansas benchmark and the national benchmark for this level of care. One of the questions I had with regards to these benchmarks was what was really underneath these benchmarks. And one of the differences in the figure that was provided for the report is our overall cost per patient care on an annual basis, which includes all of the support cares that they need. These particular benchmarks are purely for the medical cost, so they're a little bit lower, and if we had looked at apples to apples, those figures would have been a little bit different. But we still know that we're above the Kansas cost of care for what UDS reflects is, but we're very much in line with the national cost of care. And just to share a little bit about that, in 2012, as this figure states, we had a $799 cost per patient for medical care, and these are UDS, Uniform Data Set numbers. So every community health center, federally qualified health center, is reporting on the same data. Nationally, that figure was $686, and the Kansas figure was $446. In 2013, we went to a cost of per patient care of $796, while the national figure was $721, and the state figure was now $476. So you can see there's, again, we're still higher, but we are in line with the national. We want to be closer to that Kansas cost. We have, one of the other points that was made in the report talks about things that could be impacting the cost of care. Some of the things that were highlighted were the staffing levels that we have, the types of services that we provide, the productivity levels of our providers. And what I want to share with you is that knowing these things, we knew these things going into this report happening. And so we have made changes in our staffing patterns. They're a little bit hard to see the results of at this time, and I think the reason, one of the big reasons why, is because we've also been trying to keep our provider positions filled. And so when you have those fluctuating variances and vacancies, it just makes it hard to capture that true change. The other item in the safety net report talks about payer mix. And interestingly enough, the payer mix for the Shawnee County Federally Qualified Health Center is different than the payer mix we see in other community health centers. Just again, to make you aware, right now in the data that we're monitoring, our current cost per care per patient through the third quarter of this year is $731. So we are seeing a reduction, and our hope is that we stay close to that number as we get to the end of the year. When we dug a little bit further into the data with regards to the types of patients that we see, and again, I'm solely looking at the UDS data, our patient makeup of patients is different than our state and national percentage of patients. And the best example I can give you is that in Shawnee County, 9% of the patients that we see are 18 and under. 85% of the patients that we see are between the ages of 18 and 64. And then in the state level, you're looking more at about 30% of their population is 18 and under. And at the national level, it's close to that as well. So some of those things do impact the cost of care. I know one of the questions that's asked is why. And, you know, when you have an older adult population, there tends to be more chronic issues that you're dealing with. Children's illnesses tend to resolve themselves more quickly and don't require as much ongoing support. When we also looked at the health levels of our patients, we know that our diabetic population and our hypertensive population is higher than both the state and national averages as well. So that can correlate to having a more needy population who needs care. Do you want to ask questions as we go along, or do you want to wait?
I can wait.
Okay.
I can wait.
I've also had the benefit of hearing this once.
Commissioner Cook gets to serve on our board, so. So then we talked about, and the next pieces of information are really coming from the presentation and the work that we did with the consultants. And when the consultant came in, we know that we have a population of 54,000 people who are low income, meaning living under 200% of the poverty level. We know that our current safety net clinics serve between 5,500 and 7,000 patients a year. And we also have some private providers who do accept uninsured patients as well. So the whole point of this piece of information was to determine what's our goal, what is it we want to create in this new safety net system. So we have a balance of about 48,000 of low income unserved in Shawnee County. So in order to make sure that we can address these needs, there were 3 areas that have to be addressed in order to make that happen. And they are increasing the number of exam rooms that are available, increasing the number of providers and support staff to meet that need, and then also looking at changing our hours of operations and how do we do that in a community setting. And one of the reasons that is looked at is because that can help address the use of the emergency rooms during the hours that a clinic may be typically closed. If we can open for even a little bit of an extended period of time, we can relieve some of that time. What happened? There we go. So one of the goals that was discussed in this meeting, knowing that we have the 48,000, is that we want to try to build a model that would help us meet the needs of 25,000 unduplicated patients annually. We know that's not going to happen day one, but it's something that we would build towards. When we talked, we thought that to meet 25,000 patients, we would probably need about 45 exam rooms within this system. We didn't have a firm number of providers, but we know that providers would see a panel of about 1,500 to 2,000 patients annually is what would be in their panel to see. And then, of course, we talked about the hours of operation. So some of the broad objectives that we identified, and it was helpful as we all sat and talked to kind of build this picture so that it gave us kind of a framework that we were going to work within. And so again, that goal or that objective is to create that model that we can serve 25,000 patients within our market. We would then take that plan and we would have to determine what are the financial needs, what are the equipment needs, what are the resource needs in order to meet that goal. We know we have very strong partners with the county, with Marion Clinic, with Stormont Vale Healthcare, and with St. Francis Health Center, and all of them are committed to making this change happen. We would have to obtain approval for this model change, and there's a couple different routes we could go with that. We could submit an application, or we could go through the process of just asking for approval, submitting the operational plan, and see if they would approve it. Then, of course, we'd have to execute the plan, and then how do we sustain that plan over time? We know there's lots of conversations that need to take place with regards to this model change. You know, some of the other actions that will continue is we have to continue to improve our payer mix. And these are things we'll do now. Even before we change our operational model, we still have to work to make those improvements. With an eye on trying to reduce the tax allocation support that comes from the commission, currently the FQHC receives about $2.24 million in tax allocation in 2015. Part of that fund we do pay back to the county in the form of indirects and about $175,000. The FQHC receives almost $1.2 million in grants each year, and then we also generate program income of about $2.8 million. So, you know, the revenues are there to support the change. It's just a matter of figuring out what do we do to address the tax allocation change. So with regards to the next steps, we had this meeting with the consultants on October 15th and 16th. We provided them with a lot of data. I think the term we used was data dump. We gave them information about our payer mix, our insurance plans, our buildings. We walked them through our buildings and what our staffing looks like for those buildings. That information will be used to help develop that work plan that we will go from. We know that there's going to be a significant amount of work that happens between now and then, and every one of those objectives we have there is going to have a significant amount of questions to be answered and tasks to be addressed and issues to be resolved as we move it forward. While we don't have a concrete date for this new model to take effect, what was said on more than one occasion is that there could be a significant work towards this change in 2015, and we'll continue to work towards that. We know that this process is going to take time and that it involves a variety of community partners, but it's also important that we maintain our current level of operations so that we don't impact not only the patients that we all serve, but also our community partners as we continue to provide that care. And again, you know, I can't say enough that the goal is really to increase and improve the care that's provided in this community, particularly for those who are uninsured and underinsured. So I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions? Commissioner Cook?
Commissioners, I guess more of a comment that, you know, this is a very exciting time for Shawnee County. This is a kind of scary, though, at the same time. We are embarking on a path that we've never embarked upon before, and I appreciate all the work that our health agency has worked with, our community partners, Marion Clinic, Stormont Vale, St. Francis, embracing how do we serve those that are underserved. And I really appreciate all of the hard work that's gone into answering that question, and look forward to the end result. And obviously, we are still very early into it, although it's been going on now for more than a year, 2 years. So that would be my comment.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Buell?
Just, you mentioned personnel there, and I think that's first and foremost on your mind too,
Definitely.
Alice, is that we remember our employees in this transition and how this is going to impact them. And we need to maintain an open dialogue on how we progress on that.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's very important to me.
Yes.
And I think, like you said, our clients and not having any lapse in care.
Right.
That's
I can
very, very
I can
important.
share that, you know, we've had conversations internally with staff. You know, we shared this information with them in the plan back in May to make this change. You know, they're aware of this information as well. And, you know, there's excitement about being able to do something new, but there is also anxiety with regards to that as well. And so my hope is that we can make it as smooth as possible, as smooth as possible. So, thank you.
I'm glad we have the opportunity to let the public know what's going on. I know that this has been considered for months now, and the commission has wanted to release information on the process, but it would have been disruptive. There's so many people and so many entities that are involved that I think prior disclosure would have been disruptive. So I'm glad we can do it now. I think the public needs to know what we're doing, and I'm enthusiastic that we'll provide better service and save tax dollars. So I appreciate everyone's effort in this, developing the new model and moving forward and executing the plan. So thank you, Alice, and
Thank
thanks
you.
everyone else.
I might just
Commissioner?
add too that we do have the Community Health Center Board, and that's made up of consumers and of volunteers throughout the community.
Correct.
And their minutes are usually on our agenda, but we need their help in this transition as well.
Yeah, and I
they're
appreciate
very,
you
very
bringing that up because that is a very important piece of being a federally qualified health center.
Exactly.
That board
That's right.
is a very big piece, and if anything happens that impacts the integrity of that board or the use of that board, that puts us out of compliance with a pretty significant chunk of our grant funding. So
Exactly.
that's why we'll continue to keep them engaged along the way as well.
And I appreciate that I've had the honor of serving on that board as the representative from the commission for the past year. Again, this has been a very exciting, challenging, scary, but I think the end result will be very beneficial to our community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Consent agenda?
Commissioner Cook, I think you had some comments to make on the consent agenda.
I do. Commissioners, I'm very disappointed in our sheriff in the manner in which items 1, 2, 3, and 4 are presented to the commission today. As we look at the consent agenda, we have that the sheriff has outlined payment for fuel for 2015 out of his budget. We have payments for a vehicle. We have payments for a 5-year contract for body equipment or cameras. And we have the purchase of 10 vehicles, all of which coming out of his budget. As an elected official, the sheriff has full reign over his budget and can spend it in any manner which he chooses without the consent of the Board of County Commissioners. So we do not have, in my opinion, the ability to stop him from these expenditures. But at the same time, I'm disappointed that the sheriff would take this route and not explain to the commission why he's making these purchases, that this is the most prudent financial decision for his office, especially considering that the sheriff has approached us on a number of occasions talking about wage compression, issues with senior staff, their salaries, and I know that this will impact my decisions when it comes to 2016's budget. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Do you have any comments, Commissioner Bueller?
The sheriff did have an opportunity to explain these expenditures to me, so I have had a conversation with him and understand his position on this.
And I've had a conversation too, but I share Commissioner Cook's disappointment. And that's about all I'm going to say. Can I get a motion?
On the entire consent agenda?
Yes, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda as presented by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
New business, A, County Clerk. Number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $756,291.25. The highlights out of those would be withholdings for the state of Kansas for our employees, Horizon Health Care for the Department of Corrections of $179,907.01. That is health care for our inmates. The Elections Office for their printing of the ballots of $17,066. The purchase of the vehicle for the health agency approved by this board. Holding accounts with the state of Kansas. Health insurance for our employees. And payments for our mainframe update and service for information technology. And those total up to $512,450.62. So I do not see any issues. I would move for the approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers as presented by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
There are no correction orders. Item B, County Counselor. Number 1, consider a subrogation claim of Farmers Insurance for damage to their insured's vehicle in an amount of $4,284.05.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jonathan Berzon, Assistant County Counselor. As stated in the memo, this is a subrogation claim from Farmers Insurance for an exhaust hood that blew off the top of the courthouse and struck their insured's vehicle. One thing I didn't put in the memo that I found out subsequent to this and checked on was the fact that the exhaust hood was original to the courthouse, so it was installed probably sometime in the 60s, so it had a good run. And unless you have any questions, there's a recommendation to pay the claim.
Questions or comments for Mr. Brazon?
I'm thankful no one was hurt or injured.
Yeah, exactly.
You're exactly right.
Given the that could have happened, but I would move for approval of the payment for the claim.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, sir. Next item.
Item C, Corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for the purchase of inmate clothing and supplies with anticipated costs of $25,000.
Good morning, Brian Cole, Department of Corrections. Today, I'm here to ask permission and approval to solicit bids for the purchase of inmate clothing and supplies needed through the calendar year of 2015. We did set up a meeting with our financial administrator to confirm the appropriate process, and this is to be able to request, and so we're asking that we be able to do that. The anticipated cost is close to about $25,000, and we do have that approved for our budget. And I stand for any questions you may have.
Questions?
If none,
I'll
good
make-
luck.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the request to solicit bids.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Thank you.
Number 2, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 396, 2014 with MSDS Online for monitoring and printing of standardized material safety data sheet software services provided to the adult and juvenile detention centers at a cost of $699 per year for 3 years.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Phelps, Department of Corrections. I don't know if you have any specific concerns about this. It's kind of a technical item. We have about 50 different chemicals that are used in our facility, and federal regulations have changed so that we now have to be documenting the safety data sheets at the point of use, not just at the point of storage. And this kind of changes the game for us, and we're trying to make that as efficient as possible, and that's the purpose of this service. I'd be happy to answer any
Questions for the major?
I have none. I move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the contract by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item D, Information Technology. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of Contract C 397, 2014 with lynda.com for subscription for 12 months of licensing for access to online training courses at a cost of $239.88.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pat O'Blinder with the Information Technology Department. This is another subscription that we would like to start up with our department, in keeping with doing online training rather than attending in-person and off-site courses. We've had really good success with that approach with our Pluralsight subscription. This lynda.com has some courses that are specifically geared towards website development that are not accessible through Pluralsight, and we would ask your permission to set up a subscription to this resource as well. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions for Pat?
I don't have any other. Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Pat. Next item.
Item E, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of change order number 1 final for the Southwest Davis Road over Wakarusa project, resulting in a net increase of $2,853.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This project was the repair of a bridge deck on this particular bridge, and the change order, it reflects the actual as-built quantities as compared to the planned quantities. So we had to install a little bit more quantities on a few items than was anticipated, with the cost of those additional quantities being $2,853. That amount, again, this is our one and only change order. This would be the final, and that amount of increase fits within the contingencies that we had in the project, so there's no detrimental impacts to the project budget. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions?
I have none. Move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Bueller and seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Next item.
Item F, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, recognition of upcoming events at Lake Shawnee Golf Course, Cypress Ridge Golf Course, and Forbes Golf Course for the month of November.
Good morning, excuse me. Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. I have two guys with me today, Kerry Golden, Director of Golf, and Austin Tillman, who's the General Manager of the Lake Shawnee Golf Management. You'll notice that every month Randy Luby comes down and presents some special events that go on inside Parks and Recreation. These are two events that are taking place at our golf courses. They weren't on previous lists, but they were something I think that deserve a lot of attention. Both Kerry and Austin have worked together to try to do some really nice things for some certain people in our community. One of them is the food drive, in which we'll offset some of the cost of the round of golf if they bring canned food, and then we make that donation. The other one is on Veterans Day, to allow veterans who have served our country to play free golf for that day. These are things that I think are just very nice things to turn back to the community. Both of those guys, individuals are here. If you have any questions, specific questions or details, I'd be glad to turn it over to them.
John, thank you for the veterans
Yes.
donation. I know that we're always looking at the, expenditures for the golf courses, how much we have charged, how much the cost for the golf courses, but this is a very, very nice gesture to our veterans to honor them, and I know that it would be appreciated within the community. So, thank you.
And I'd like to say thank you to Carrie and Austin also for these events. They are very important, and Randy does a better job, by the way. Next item.
Item G, Commission. Number 1, consider canceling the November 13th Commission meeting.
Commissioner,
Yeah.
this is a tool. I will be attending the Kansas Association of County Commissioners. We had approved my attendance of that meeting some time ago. We had held off on canceling the commission meeting with the uncertainty as to the election and how it might be affected. We had been in discussions with the elections commissioner as well as the Secretary of State over whether or not the canvassing would occur on the Monday or Thursday, but as it stands with us having the canvassing on Monday, I would ask for consent or permission, however the case may be, motion, approval to cancel the meeting on Thursday to attend that conference. I understand the county counselor's office, a health agency, a number of departments will be at the meeting as well. And so I would make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item.
Administrative Communications.
Commissioners, Tom Block again from Public Works and Solid Waste. With next Tuesday being Veterans Day, we will have a slight change in our solid waste collection schedule. The only change will be our Tuesday customers, in which we will have no collections. Our Tuesday customers will be picked up on Wednesday. So then our Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday customers will not see any changes. Only our Tuesday customers moving to Wednesday. I just wanted to get that out there. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Tom.
Morning, Commissioners. Andrew Howell, Shawnee County Election Commissioner. Just a couple things. There's been some comments in the press, and I've gotten a few from the public about a couple of locations that we had some issues with. We are, as a matter, I guess, of reminder, first of all, a thank you to the Commissioners for having worked with us on some of these budget issues, and also the new electronic poll pads, or otherwise known as electronic poll books. Those are new for Shawnee County. As you know, we have nearly 550 different poll workers, so that can be a challenge in and of itself. I don't know very many businessmen that would take a bet training poll workers to work one day a year, and you get 3 hours to train them, and they all have to be perfect. So that's constantly a challenge for us. But I do want the public to know that we at the election office take our job seriously. It does matter to us that people have a good experience, so I'll probably be visiting with you in the future about some recommendations on some room for improvement. With the equipment, some of our equipment's very old. Like I said, the poll pads themselves are very new, so we have some training issues to deal with there. And we've had about 3 hours for each board worker to get that training accomplished, so we'll probably have to beef that up a little bit. But just to let you know, too, I know that we do need to finish working on new equipment purchases. Just a reminder to the public, and let me finish one other thing. If a voter in Shawnee County has a concern, I personally want to handle that call. I take those matters seriously, so please call the election office, 251-5900, and let me know what your experience was. I personally handle all those calls, and we also take notes throughout the day on election day, and I make sure that I go through every handwritten note about what the concerns were and that I understand what occurred. So just as a matter of informing the public, to let you know that I do take those seriously. I handle them perfectly, and we're still taking calls from time to time. We get 1 or 2 a day, so just to let you know that. The canvass on Monday at 9 a.m., the public is invited. It's at the election office at 911 Southwest 37th. If you were able to make it to the polls but did not have your photo ID, please bring that by the office before 9 a.m. on Monday. We'll make sure that we recommend your vote to count if that was your concern or the issue that you had a provisional ballot. Thank you.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
Questions for Andrew? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. Let me take this opportunity to personally congratulate Commissioner Bueller as well as our new Register of Deeds, Vicki Neos. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm here this morning to remind you, if you need to be reminded, that it is November and it is time for tax statements to be issued. We're working very hard with IT as well as the clerk's office to get those statements in the mail no later than December the 1st, which is the required date, but we think they're going to be out the week of Thanksgiving, sooner if possible. I would point out that we are using our new software for the very first time, so it has been a learning experience, and every day brings a little bit of a new issue that we have to deal with, but we think we're going to work through all those and that those statements will be out on time. I'd also like to point out that the statement will look a little different this year. First off, the font will be different because of the way we print it, but the most noticeable thing it will not be as nearly pleasing to the eye, if there is such a thing with a tax statement. It's going to be in black and white. You'll remember in the past that we had the pretty colors, the red, the blue, made it a little nicer to look at, but it also cost an extra $25,000 to do that. So we made a decision this year to go with the black and white, try to save $25,000 worth of printing costs. We'll see what the public reaction is to that and address that next year if we have to. With that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Good,
Thank you.
thanks.
Yeah.
Nope, don't
Okay.
have any questions.
Watch your mail.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners. Allison Alejos. I just wanted to remind you all that there is going to be a general session tonight at the Topeka Shawnee County Public Library on Ebola. We'll have staff there that will be presenting some general information and being able to answer questions that the public may have. 7 o'clock tonight.
Thank you, Allison. Any questions for
No.
Allison? Good, thank you. Others? All right, Commissioner Cook, anything?
We've congratulated Commissioner Bueller and Register of Deeds Neosi. I think that we do have one more, Mr. Sturbins at the back of the room, in his contested fight of the sole person on the ballot for Tecumseh Township prevailed. So, but also to thank Emergency Management for their work on Election Day. I know that they work closely with the Elections Office to make sure that if there are any problems, if we do have power outages, we have generators ready to go. And so I know that the Emergency Management does put in a lot of time on the Election Day to make sure that that process does move smoothly. And we do, hold that as an important role for Emergency Management in voting and elections in Shawnee County. So that would be my comment.
Commissioner?
Again, kudos to Commissioner Howell. I mean, all the poll workers, emergency management, everybody. It was a long day. It was a long day, but everybody did a good job. I do want to offer my thanks to Under Sheriff Terry Maple, who for his years of service to Shawnee County, and wish him the best in his new endeavors as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, congratulations, Dave. It still was a cliffhanger from what I understand. And Becky, congratulations to you. And lastly, congratulations to Commissioner Bueller. I think one of the lessons is that regardless of party affiliation, I think it's just difficult to defeat an effective leader with an impressive list of accomplishments. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you to working with you for at least the next 2 years. Next item.
Executive session?
There's not a need, so we are adjourned.
Thank you. It was a long day, though, that's for
How you
sure.
feel? You sound
I feel
puny.
crappy. I feel crappy, yeah.
I hope you didn't